Love, don't belong. I miss. Why? Can't. Feel. Hurt. Don't know why. Miss. Hurt. Fear. Scared. Don't belong. Not me. Why? Can't. Not good. Never. Alone. Different. Unwanted. Punished. Not fair. Lost. Unknown. Another auto writing session that I did just a few days ago. And I guess I was talking with a very, very, very... Oh, let me pause this. There we go. This is with him. I'm not sure if you can see it. You should be able to see it. That's me when I was blonde as a little baby. And I don't know, that might have been a year and a half. Either a half year or a year and a half. I'm not sure which. But I was talking to a very young self, or writing from a very young place, possibly just 2-3 years old. So this is the closest picture that I had. But also in 2024, before I went to the psilocybin-assisted therapy, before I was even planning on it, I had run across this picture, a bunch of others too, but I was specifically looking for the ones with me, with the blonde hair, because it's fun. And it was when I was in a very down space, January to April in that year. And it surprised me because it brought up a lot of animosity in me toward him for creating me. And, I sent it to my bestie because I was just like, whoa, that was surprised the heck out of me, because I thought I was just gonna be happy to see this. And it wasn't to any of the other pictures, just the really youngest one. And during that summer, I saw it again in the list, just when I was looking through my list. I saw the copy that I sent to my bestie, the image, the scan. And I was in a better place at that point, and it didn't come as strong, but I still felt that animosity again. I was just like, this is surprising. And then later in the fall, when we were preparing for the psilocybin-assisted therapy, and they said, bring something meaningful and bring a young picture of yourself. And as soon as they said that, I was like, this is the one that's got to come, because I knew what I had felt from it. And by that point, the feeling wasn't really there so much. But during the solder writing, just all the things we were talking about, and it just kind of came up that there's something that's really deep that's been in me for even longer than I realized. Especially I actually brought up to her, like, actually, there's a picture that, and I told her about that the woman who was helping me. And yeah, so I was tapping into that very young part of me, trying to say, well, what is that young part that has felt? It was specifically, I'm not keeping this very succinct. It was specifically around failure. That was the whole point, was we wanted to go to failure, because we know that she started with the moment she said failure, I flinched. I physically flinched, and then there were several times where it would come up again and I would flinch just from her saying it. I can say it, but when she said it, it was just like, there's something deep in where kind of sensing that, hey, this has actually been there for even longer than what I think. Not even since like when I was a young kid. It was like real young. And so when I was tapping into that, that was that part. Those were all the things. I just, instead of trying to write out whole sentences, I'm like, well, I just felt like, you know what, I'm just going to write what comes and what came was just emotions. Just one emotion after another after another. And that makes sense, because if I'm tapping into a young 2, 3-year-old, their life is emotions. Their life isn't blah, blah, blabbing. But that was what came out. And then the next part, where you tap into your higher self and you send that part off to rest, and then you tap into your higher self, and the very first thing I did, it's kind of a mess because I didn't have a lot of time, but it was just a little me hugging the little me with a alien head. I was just trying to get the point across. And then, the next part I wrote from my higher self was, it's scary coming into the world, isn't it? So much around you, rules that you don't understand. The baby of the bunch, and the only boy to boot. Things put on you that you never asked for, and never belonged to you in the first place. Alone inside yourself. Not always, of course. We're just talking about this part right now. You didn't always feel alone. I'm not really sure of everything that I need to do to help you the most. But that's okay. That's okay. We've been figuring this life out as we've gone all along, right? I promise you, though, that I'll keep doing my best and that I love you. Even if a part of me still wants to momentarily question that. And that I understand, and you'll always belong with me. That little part about even if the question parts, because when I said I love you, at that moment, I felt a little part of me going, it's like, do I really love myself? So I was just like, hey, even if there's a little part, that part needs care too. So I was like, I'm going to acknowledge it in the letter. But that was it. That was it. There's a lot more that went into that session, leading up to this. There's a lot more that went into it between and stuff. But I wanted to share that. And just keep looking for those ways to support yourself. Building self-compassion with yourself. It does make a difference. It does make a difference. Especially to these little ones inside of us. These little ones inside of us that had some of these really difficult feelings from a really, really young age. And they don't even know why. And that they deserve all the care that they can get. I know it's not just me, so keep looking at that for yourselves too. Yeah, like, comment, share, all the same stuff. I'm a self-compassion coach. I coach for anxiety and helping people build a deeper, more meaningful self-compassion with themselves, just like what I've been going through for myself. And I'm still going through. So see the links in my bio for info on that as well. And take care.